A nun goes to the gynecologist. She tells the doctor, "Hey doc, I am very worried. I have stamps coming out of my vagina." The doctor is curious and examines her. After he is done, with a smile on his face, he tells the nun, "Those are not stamps. Those are stickers from bananas." After 50 years of marriage, romance now requires medical clearance. One lazy afternoon, Betty decided to surprise Frank with a rare moment of sweetness. She carefully typed on her phone, "After all these years, you still make my heart race." Frank's phone buzzed. He squinted, read it again, then turned pale. Seconds later, he replied, "Are you okay? Should I call the doctor?" Betty rolled her eyes and texted back, "No, Frank, it's romantic. It means I still love you." Frank responded immediately, "Oh, thank goodness. For a second, I thought we were headed to the ER again. I already hid the credit card bill." Betty sighed and muttered, "This is why I don't flirt with you. You panic like a smoke alarm." Moments later, Frank shuffled into the room holding 2 heart-shaped antacid tablets. "Don't worry, Betty," he said proudly. "I'm ready for romance and indigestion." Betty burst out laughing. "Perfect, Frank. After 50 years, nothing says love like chewable calcium." After 48 years of marriage, Earl and Mabel agreed on almost everything, except the thermostat. One winter morning, Mabel shuffled into the living room wrapped in 3 blankets. "Earl, it's freezing in here. Did you touch the thermostat again?" Earl sat proudly in a t-shirt and said, "Woman, I fought in the war. I can handle the cold." Mabel didn't miss a beat. "You didn't fight the cold. You fought mosquitoes in Florida." 10 minutes later, the thermostat mysteriously reset itself to 75 degrees. Earl sighed. "Fine, but when the electric bill comes, I'm framing it and calling it modern art." There was this really short little Jewish guy who wanted to get married, so he went to a marriage broker to help him find a wife. After looking over the broker's album of photos of candidates, he decides on the girl for him. But the broker protests that he is only 5'3", and the girl he has chosen is 6'2". It'll never work. Nevertheless, he insists on meeting the girl, and it is love at first sight. They are soon married. 6 months later, the broker calls him to see how everything is going. "Oi," he says, "things are not working out. You were right." "What is the problem?" asks the broker. "Well," replies the man, "it's like this. When we make love at our nose to nose, my toes are in it. And when we are toes to toes, my nose is in it. And when I'm in it, I'm so lonely. There is nobody to talk to." Mr. Marlowe was strolling through the country when he saw a stable with the most beautiful horse he ever laid eyes on. It was 17 hands high and white, with rippling muscles and a fine, flowing mane. Mr. Marlowe struck a deal to buy it from the owner, who did, however, pass on one key piece of information. "We are a religious family, Mr. Marlowe, and we've instilled those values in our horse. To get him to gallop, you must say, 'Thanks God.' To get him to stop, you must say, 'Our Father who art in heaven.'" Settling into the saddle, Marlowe said, "Thanks God," and the animal took off. They rode for miles. Suddenly they were coming up to a cliff. Unfortunately, Marlowe couldn't remember the phrase to make the animal stop and tried every biblical passage he could think of until, just a few feet from the edge of the cliff, he shouted, "Our Father who art in heaven!" The animal stopped instantly. Shaking and perspiring, Marlowe reached into his pocket and pulled out a handkerchief. "Thanks God," he said as he mopped his brow. Farmer walked into a bar and saw the local tractor salesman sitting there, head hung low, obviously upset, drowning his sorrows in his beer. "What's up, John?" asked the farmer. "Gosh, Bob, I'll tell you what. If I don't sell a tractor soon, I'm going to have to close my shop." "Now, John, things could be worse," said Bob. "How do you figure?" asked John. "Well, John, you know my ornery cow, Bessie?
I went to milk her this morning, and she just kept flicking her tail in my face. So I grabbed a piece of rope and tied it up to the rafter. Then the nasty thing went and kicked the bucket away. So I tied her leg to the wall. Then she kicked my stool right out from underneath me. But I was out of rope, so I took my belt off and used it to tie her other leg to the other side of the stall. Well, wouldn't you just know it, my damn pants fell down. And John, if you can convince my wife that I was in there to milk that cow, I'll buy a tractor from you.
A woman is working in the bar she owns when in walks a very handsome man. They get chatting, and it turns out he is a Frenchman named Pierre. They get on very well. He tells her about his daring adventures as an ace fighter pilot. She is getting more and more turned on by him, and when she can stand it no more, drags him upstairs to her bedroom. Things quickly progress. "Oh, Pierre, kiss my b****s," she demands. "Okay," he says in his beautiful French accent, "but hang on a moment." He then runs out of the room and returns with a bottle of white wine, which he pours all over her chest. "Oh, Pierre, Pierre, what are you doing?" she yells out. "I am Pierre, the famous French fighter pilot. I always have white wine with my white meat." They continue for a while longer before she says, "Oh, Pierre, lick my pussy." "Okay," he replies, "but hang on a moment." He runs out the room and returns with a bottle of brandy and a match. He pours it over her snatch and then sets it alight. "Oh, Pierre, what's you doing?" she screeches. "I am Pierre, the famous French fighter pilot. When I go down in flames." A good-looking guy is sitting in a bar, sipping a whiskey. He notices a gorgeous woman at the end of the bar talking with a friend. He calls over a waiter and sends them both a martini, along with a note asking for the gorgeous woman's phone number. 10 minutes later, the friend walks over with a note. It reads, "Unless you have a Mercedes parked outside, $1 million in the bank, and 8 inches in your pants, you're not getting anything from me." The man finishes his whiskey, considering his response. He then writes this down on a piece of paper, hands it to the friend, and walks out. "Actually, I only have about $300K in the bank. Most of my net worth is in the 3 dozen buildings I own downtown, and today I'm driving the Porsche. The Benz, Hummer, and Lamborghini are currently at my summer residence. But if you think I'm cutting off 2 inches for you, you can right off." A guy is sitting at a bar in a skyscraper restaurant high above the city. He's slamming tequila left and right. He grabs one, drinks it, goes over to a window, and jumps out. The guy who was sitting next to him couldn't believe that the guy had just done that. He was more surprised when, 10 minutes later, the same guy, unscathed, comes walking back into the bar and sits back down next to him. The astonished guy asks, "How did you do that? I just saw you jump out that window and were hundreds of feet above the ground." The jumper responds by slurring, "Well, I don't get it either. I slam a shot of tequila, and when I jump out the window, the tequila makes me slow down right before I hit the ground. Watch." He takes a shot, slams it down, goes to the window, and jumps out. The other guy runs to the window and watches as the guy falls until right before the ground, slows down, and lands softly on his feet. A few minutes later, the guy walks back into the bar. The other guy has to try it too, so he orders a shot of tequila. He drinks it and goes to the window and jumps. As he reaches the bottom, he doesn't slow down at all. Splat! The first guy orders another shot of tequila, and the bartender says to him, "You're really a jerk when you're drunk, Superman." Got a seat on a flight on one of those real budget airlines earlier. The deal was first come, first serve for seats. I turned up super early. It was just nodding off in my seat when a guy tapped me on the shoulder. "Excuse me, mate, this is my seat." "No, mate, first come, first serve." "Yeah, but this is 100% my seat. Look on the ticket, pal. It says first come, first serve. End of." "All right, then. You fly the f***ing thing." A little boy went to the store with his grandmother, and on the way home he was looking at the things she had purchased. He found a package of pantyhose and began to sound out the words queen size. He then turned to his grandmother and exclaimed, "Look, Granny, you wear the same size as our bed."